My first client I got put on as an assistant engineer for Quincy Jones and Bruce Swedien, and I think it was for Michael Jackson's Off the Wall album.
Just finished some work with Lenka.
Justin Timberlake was here recently.
Well, I've worked for the Rolling Stones since about '93.
Kenna,
Eric Clapton,
Mary J. Blige's Be Without You.
Bob Dylan.
Definitely name people coming here and very happy.
When building a mix, you know, there's a lot of different approaches, and I pride myself that I really try to never do it the same way twice. And I really wish I could and do a mix in a few hours, but I really kind of push the faders around and push the music around and really just try to figure out what this thing is supposed to be, and then I try to craft something that is absolutely totally unique to the song and the project that I'm doing, and hopefully create something that when you hear 2 bars of it, you go, oh, there's that thing.
Yeah, with Emmy, the key again was to create some more interesting textures, and we had this fantastic pedal board with all sorts of delay pedals and distortion pedals, and a lot of it is what we call here happy abstinence, where we just get her vocal running through a guitar pedal chain and just hit record, and you don't know what you're going to end up with, and just start playing with settings and record it all, and then go through and find those like magical moments where it's like, oh my God, that is so cool.
With Mary J. Blige, the honest truth is you really don't have to do much other than sit back and listen to the world's most amazing R&B vocalist do her magic. I mean, it's, you know, get a nice microphone, get a good chain, and just sit back because it's coming at you. That's the secret.
A lot of times in the studio, when you're working with a rock band, I needed to be able to turn the speakers up and make it loud and have it be sweet and have it be able to feel the music. And typically in a lot of recording studios, they had big speakers on the wall. Usually they didn't sound very good, and it was always when you would turn on the big speakers, it was a bad surprise. So I was looking for a pair of speakers that I could carry with me and something that I could turn up and make it loud and move people, but also a speaker that I could turn down and balance music. And I knew what I was taking home, what I was hearing in the studio, I was also taking home.
So setting up your own private or home studio, project studio, however you want to call it, a good thing to have is a 2 different sets of monitors that are, you know, varying in size. A main, which in this case can be a pair of midfields, I suppose, you know, like the E8Bs that's right behind me, and then a pair of small ones, maybe like the V6s. The reason for having those is you want to be able to replicate perhaps the more typical listening environments. A lot of people these days would listen through speakers that are you know, like computer speakers or like small home, you know, theater type speakers or perhaps car speakers. So you want a small set that's not like really boomy and heavy, but would represent what a normal everyday average listening environment. And then you want the bigger ones so that you can at least somewhat get a feeling of what's going to be sounding in a club. And needless to say, when that producer or client comes in, you want to bang it and like make him feel all like important and whatnot. So,
with budgets shrinking a bit across the board, and guys like me really needing to have the ability to spend less to make a great record. So when you have your own studio, it just allows you to cut the costs down a bit. So I've had this place for now 6 years, and it's been a lifesaver. It's been great to be able to customize it. It's my place. It's set up the way I want it, and bit by bit, every piece of the puzzle gets, you know, every month something new comes along where it's like, okay, we're that much closer to the perfect studio.
Having built a few rooms in my life, or been at least you know, a part of you know, big efforts of room build-ups, there are only 2 ways of doing this right. Is doing it right, which is expensive and, you know, takes a long time and a really good space and a ton of treatment, or just like succumbing to the fact that if you're not going to spend that kind of money, you're basically in an inherently so inferior listening environment.
Yeah, the studio I have is fantastic. I'm really lucky to have the space, but it could be better. It wasn't designed to be a recording studio. Often the case with producers like me, we buy a house, we have a space that we can turn into a studio. We're working with less than ideal acoustic conditions. For me, so far, it's just been learning the room. If someone else were to come into this room and try and mix a record, they'd be a little lost. It's not ideal. Still looking to find a way to make it a little more, quote, perfect. But right now, my ear knows what I'm hearing. And that's taken a couple of years to figure that out.
If there is a rule of thumb, if you can't do it right, deaden it. So get your walls at least as dead as possible, so that you're in the driest, least reflective environment. I'm actually looking forward to trying the KRK Ergo, which is a room tuning device. When shopping for octave monitors, I would first consider the components, the actual driver, the enclosure, and I suppose maybe the most important is the power section. You want it to be powerful enough to move enough air. You want it to have, lower distortion and, being able to handle, good amounts of low end. Nice to have speakers bi-amped so that the tweeter is separately amplified from the woofer. I'm a big advocate of power speakers. I think that the short distance of the amp from the driver really eliminates a lot of hassles and degradation that's inherited by using external power amps.
When I'm working on a mix in the studio, I like to be able to turn it up sometimes and be thrilled by it, and also to hear all the elements. I want to hear the low bass, I want to hear the high end, I want to hear a sweet mid-range, and I want to be able to turn it up, and I want to have the opportunity to have the music wash over me. And I find when I have a good set of speakers, like the E8s and the E8Bs that I'm using now, I can get that. And at some point in the day I'm working on a mix, I really know I have it nailed when I turn it up, and I can feel it, and it washes over me without poking my eyes out, and without hurting and being sharp and nasty sounding. We have some friends we talk about, to be really great, you have to be willing to suck. You have to be willing to go for it and lay it out there, and it not be good, and be able to gather yourself up and go at it again from another angle, and find and be a bulldog on it, and get onto a song and not let go until you can identify that thing and you make it so it speaks and it makes people feel something.